Ulster. Ulster, Irish, Ulaidh ʻʊlཌ or Cúige Uladh, ʻkuːģə ʻʊlཌ, Ulster Scots. Ulster or Ulster is one of the four traditional Irish provinces. It is made up of 9 counties. 6 of these constitute Northern Ireland, a part of the United Kingdom. The remaining 3 are in the Republic of Ireland. It is the second largest after Munster and second most populous after Leinster of Ireland's 4 traditional provinces, with Belfast being its biggest city. Unlike the other provinces, Ulster has a high percentage of Protestants, making up almost half of its population. English is the main language and Ulster English the main dialect. A minority also speak Irish, and there are Gaeltachtaí Irish-speaking regions in southern County Londonderry, the Gaeltacht Quarter, Belfast, and in County Donegal. Collectively, these 3 regions are home to a quarter of the total Gaeltacht population of Ireland. Ulster Scots is also spoken. Lough Neagh in the east is the largest lake in the British Isles, while Lough Erne in the west is one of its largest lake networks. The main mountain ranges are the Mournes, Sperrins, Croaghgorms and Derryveagh Mountains. Historically, Ulster lay at the heart of the Gaelic world, made up of Gaelic Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man. According to tradition, in ancient Ireland it was one of the 5th Irish, Cúige ruled by a ṟ or king of overkings. It is named after the overkingdom of Ulaidh in the east of the province, which was in turn named after the Ulaidh folk. The other overkingdoms in Ulster were Argyll and Ulaidh. After the Norman invasion of Ireland in the 12th century, eastern Ulster was conquered by the Anglo-Normans and became the earldom of Ulster. By the late 14th century the earldom had collapsed and the O'Neill dynasty had come to dominate most of Ulster, claiming the title King of Ulster. Ulster became the most thoroughly Gaelic and independent of Ireland's provinces. Its rulers resisted English encroachment, but were defeated in the 9 Years' War 1594–1603. King James I then colonized Ulster with English-speaking Protestant settlers from Great Britain in the Plantation of Ulster. This led to the founding of many of Ulster's towns. The inflow of Protestant settlers and migrants also led to bouts of sectarian violence with Catholics, notably during the 1641 rebellion. Along with the rest of Ireland, Ulster became part of the United Kingdom in 1801. In the early 20th century, moves towards Irish self-rule were opposed by many Ulster Protestants, sparking the Home Rule crisis. This, and the subsequent Irish War of Independence, led to the partition of Ireland. 6 Ulster counties became Northern Ireland, a self-governing territory within the United Kingdom, while the rest of Ireland became the Irish Free State, now the Republic of Ireland. The term Ulster has no official function for local government purposes in either state. However, for the purposes of ISO 3166-2, i.e., Ulster is used to refer to the 3 counties of Cavan, Donegal and Monaghan only, which are given country subdivision code IEU. The name is also used by various organizations, such as cultural and sporting bodies. Terminology. Ulster's name ultimately derives from the Ulaidh, a group of tribes that once dwelt in this part of Ireland. The Norsemen knew the province as Ulstèr, the tur or land, a word borrowed from Irish of the Ulaidh. This was then taken into English as Ulster or Ulvester, and later contracted to Ulster. Another, less probable explanation is that the suffix ster represents the Old Norse element stader place, found in names like Libster and Scrabster in Scotland. Ulster is still known as Cúige Uladh in Irish, meaning the province literally 5th of the Ulaidh. Ulaidh has historically been anglicized as Ulaidh or Ulaidh and Latinized as Ulaidh or Ultonia. The latter two have yielded the terms Ullaidian and Ultonian. The Irish word for someone or something from Ulster is Ultach, and this can be found in the surnames MacNulty, MacAnulty, and Nulty, which all derive from MacAnultaigh, meaning son of the Ulsterman. Northern Ireland is often referred to as Ulster, despite including only 6 of Ulster's 9 counties. This usage is most common, among people in Northern Ireland who are Unionist, although it is also used by the media throughout the United Kingdom. Most Irish nationalists object to the use of Ulster in this context. Geography and political subdivisions. Ulster has a population of just over 2 million people and an area of 21,882 square kilometers, 8,449 sq mi. About 62% of the area of Ulster is in the UK, while the remaining 38% is in the Republic of Ireland. Ulster's biggest city, Belfast, has an urban population of over 500,000 inhabitants, making it the second largest city on the island of Ireland and the 10th largest urban area in the UK. 6 of Ulster's 9 counties, Antrim, Armagh, Down, Fermanagh, Londonderry and Tyrone, including the former parliamentary boroughs of Belfast and Londonderry, form Northern Ireland, which remained part of the United Kingdom after the partition of Ireland in 1921. 3 Ulster counties, Cavan, Donegal and Monaghan, form part of the Republic of Ireland. About half of Ulster's population lives in counties Antrim and Down. Across the 9 counties, according to the aggregate UK 2011 census for Northern Ireland and the ROI 2011 census for counties Cavan, Donegal and Monaghan, there is a Roman Catholic majority over Protestant of 50.8% to 42.7%. While the traditional counties continue to demarcate areas of local government in the Republic of Ireland, this is no longer the case in Northern Ireland. Since 1974, the traditional counties have a ceremonial role only. Local government in Northern Ireland is today demarcated by 11 districts. County-based subdivisions. Counties shaded in grey are in the Republic of Ireland. Counties shaded in pink are in Northern Ireland. Council-based subdivisions. Largest settlements. Settlements in Ulster with at least 14,000 inhabitants, listed in order of population. Belfast 480,000, Kerry 105,000, Lisburn 75,000, Craigavon 65,000, Bangor 58,400, Ballymena 28,700, Newtownards 27,800, Newry 27,400, Carrickfergus 27,200, Coleraine 25,000, Antrim 20,000, Omagh 19,800, Letterkenny 19,600, Larne 18,200, Banbridge 14,700, Armagh 14,500. Economy. The GDP of the province of Ulster is around EUR 50 billion. Salary levels are the lowest on the island of Ireland. Physical geography. The biggest lake in the British Isles, Lough Neagh, lies in eastern Ulster. The province's highest point, Slieve Donard 848 metres, 2782 ft, stands in County Down. The most northerly point in Ireland, ʻʊl靈iঃ, is in County Donegal, as are the 6th highest 601 metres 1972 ft cliffs in Europe, at Slieve League, and the province's largest island, Aranmore. The most easterly point in Ireland is also in Ulster, in County Down, and the most westerly point in the UK is in County Fermanagh. The longest river in the British Isles, the Shannon, rises at the Shannon Pot in County Cavan, with underground tributaries from County Fermanagh. Volcanic activity in eastern Ulster led to the formation of the Antrim Plateau and the Giant's Causeway, one of Ireland's 3 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Ulster also has a significant drumlin belt. The geographical centre of Ulster lies between the villages of Pomeroy and Carrickmore in County Tyrone. In terms of area, County Donegal is the largest county in all of Ulster. Transport. Air. The province's main airport is Belfast International Airport, popularly called Aldergrove Airport, which is located at Aldergrove, 11.5 miles northwest of Belfast near Antrim. George Best Belfast City Airport, sometimes referred to as the City Airport or the Harbour Airport, is another, smaller airport which is located at Sydenham in Belfast. The City of Derry Airport is located at Eglinton, 13 kilometres 8 miles east of the city of Derry. There is also Donegal Airport Irish, Airport Dialects and Gael, popularly known as Carrickfinn Airport, which is located in the Rosses. Railway lines are run by Northern Ireland Railways NIR. Belfast to Bangor and Belfast to Lisburn are strategically the most important routes on the network with the greatest number of passengers and largest profit margins. The Belfast-Derry railway line connecting Londonderry railway station via Coleraine, Ballymoney, Ballymena, and Antrim, with Lanyon Place and Belfast, Great Victoria Street is a noted scenic route. Belfast is also connected with Carrickfergus and Larne Harbour, Portadown, Newry and onwards, via the Enterprise service jointly operated by NIR and Ironrod Irene to Dublin Connolly. The main railway lines linking to and from Belfast, Great Victoria Street and Belfast Central are the Derry Line and the Portrush Branch, the Larne Line, the Bangor Line, the Portadown Line. Only 5 Irish counties, all in southern and western Ulster, currently have no mainline railway. The historic Great Northern Railway of Ireland connected them. They are Cavan Monaghan, Fermanagh, Tyrone and Donegal. A plan to relink Sligo and Derry through Donegal has been postponed until at least 2030. Languages and dialects. Most people in Ulster speak English. English is taught in all schools in the province. Irish Gaeltacht is taught in all schools in the counties that are part of the Republic, and in schools in Northern Ireland, almost exclusively in the Roman Catholic and Irish medium sectors. In responses to the 2001 census in Northern Ireland, 10% of the population had some knowledge of Irish, and 4.7% could speak, read, write, and understand Irish. Large parts of County Donegal are Gaeltacht areas where Irish is the first language, and some people in West Belfast also speak Irish, especially in the Gaeltacht Quarter. The dialect of Irish most commonly spoken in Ulster, especially throughout Northern Ireland, and County Donegal, is Gaeltacht or Donegal Irish, also known as Gaeltachtaí Uladh or Ulster Irish. Donegal Irish has many similarities to Scottish Gaelic. Polish is the third most common language. Ulster Scots dialects, sometimes known by the neologism ʻʊlings, are also spoken in counties Down, Antrim, Londonderry and Donegal. History. Early history. Ulster is one of the 4 Irish provinces. Its name derives from the Irish language Cúige Uladh, pronounced ʻkuːģə ʻʊlģə, meaning fifth of the Ulaidh, named for the ancient inhabitants of the region. The province's early story extends further back than written records, and survives mainly in legends such as the Ulster cycle. The archaeology of Ulster, formerly called ʻʊlÄngə iː, gives examples of ritual enclosures, such as the Giant's Ring near Belfast, which is an earth bank about 590 feet 180 m in diameter, and 15 feet 4.5 m high, in the centre of which there is a dolmen. The Boyne and its tributary the Blackwater were the traditional southern boundary of the province of Ulster, and appear as such in the Táin Bó Cúailnge. According to historian Francis John Byon, the Ulaidh possibly still ruled directly in Louth as far as the Boyne in the early 7th century, when Congal Keach made a bid for the kingship of Tara. In 605, the Battle of Moira, known archaically as the Battle of Magrath, was fought by the Gaeltacht king of Ireland, Domhnall Roman II, against his foster son King Congal Keach of Ulster, supported by his ally Domhnall the Freckled Domhnall Breck of Dalriada. The battle was fought near the woods of Kilultagh, just outside the village of Moira in what would become County Down. It was allegedly the largest battle ever fought on the island of Ireland, and resulted in the death of Congal and the retreat of Domhnall Breck. In early medieval Ireland, a branch of the northern Ulaidh, the ʻʊlենք iː of the province of Ulaidh, gradually eroded the territory of the province of Ulaidh until it lay east of the river Bann. The ʻʊlենք iː would make Tir most of which forms modern County Tyrone their base. Among the High Kings of Ireland were Llaeth died 879, Niall Glundubh died 919, and Domhnall O'Neill died 980, all of the ʻUlstèr English. The province of Ulaidh would survive restricted to the east of modern Ulster until the Norman invasion in the late 12th century. It would only once more become a province of Ireland in the mid-14th century after the collapse of the Norman earldom of Ulster, when the O'Neills who had come to dominate the northern Ulaidh stepped into the power vacuum and staked a claim for the first time, the title of King of Ulster along with the Red Hand of Ulster symbol. It was then that the provinces of Gaeltacht, Gaeltacht, and Ulaidh would all merge largely into what would become the modern province of Ulster. Domhnall Leinster died 1121 and Muirchertach Mac Lochlainn died 1166 were of this dynasty. The Mac Lochlainn were in 1241 overthrown by their kin, the Clan O'Neill c. O'Neill dynasty. The O'Neills were from then on established as Ulster's most powerful Gaelic family. The O'Donnell O'Donnell dynasty were Ulster's second most powerful clan from the early 13th century through to the beginning of the 17th century. The O'Donnells ruled over Tir most of modern County Donegal in West Ulster. After the Norman invasion of Ireland in the 12th century, the east of the province fell by conquest to Norman barons, first de Courcy died 1219, then Hugh de Lacy 1176–1243, who founded the earldom of Ulster based on the modern counties of Antrim and Down. In the 1600s Ulster was the last redoubt of the traditional Gaelic way of life, and following the defeat of the Irish forces in the 9 Years' War 1594–1603 at the Battle of Kinsale 1601, Elizabeth I's English forces succeeded in subjugating Ulster and all of Ireland. The Gaelic leaders of Ulster, the O'Neills and O'Donnells, finding their power under English suzerainty limited, decamped en masse in 1607 the flight of the Earls to Roman Catholic Europe. This allowed the English crown to plant Ulster with more loyal English and Scottish planters, a process which began in earnest in 1610. Plantations and Civil Wars. The Plantation of Ulster Irish, Plandail Ulaidh, was the organised colonization, or plantation of Ulster, by people from Great Britain, especially Presbyterians from Scotland. Private plantation by wealthy landowners began in 1606, while the official plantation controlled by King James I of England, who was also King James VI of Scots, began in 1609. All land owned by Irish chieftains, the O'Neills and O'Donnells, along with those of their supporters, who fought against the English crown in the 9 Years' War, were confiscated and used to settle the colonists. The counties Tyrconnell, Tyrone, Fermanagh, Cavan, Coleraine, and Armagh comprised the official colony. However, most of the counties, including the most heavily colonized counties Antrim and Down, were privately colonized. These counties, though not officially designated as subject to plantation, had suffered violent depopulation during the previous wars and proved attractive to private colonialists from nearby Britain. The efforts to attract colonists from England and Scotland to the Ulster plantation were considerably affected by the existence of British colonies in the Americas, which served as a more attractive destination for many potential emigrants. The official reason for the plantation is said to have been to pay for the costly 9 Years' War, but this view was not shared by all in the English government of the time. Most notably, the English Crown appointed Attorney General for Ireland in 1609, Sir John Davies. A barbarous country must be first broken by a war before it will be capable of good government, and when it is fully subdued and conquered, if it be not well planted and governed after the conquest, it will eftsoons return to the former barbarism. The plantation of Ulster continued well into the 18th century, interrupted only by the Irish Rebellion of 1641. This rebellion was initially led by Sir Phelim O'Neill Irish, Sir Phelim O'Neill, and was intended to overthrow British rule rapidly, but quickly degenerated into attacks on colonists, in which dispossessed Irish slaughtered thousands of the colonists. In the ensuing wars 1641–1653, fought against the background of civil war in England, Scotland and Ireland, Ulster became a battleground between the colonialists and the native Irish. In 1646, an Irish army under command by Eoin Roe O'Neill Irish, ʻʊljourdn Ruadh O'Neill inflicted a defeat on a Scottish Covenanter army at Benburb in County Tyrone, but the native Irish forces failed to follow up their victory and the war lapsed into stalemate. The war in Ulster ended with the defeat of the native army at the Battle of Scarrifhallis near Newmills on the western outskirts of Letterkenny, County Donegal, in 1650, as part of the Cromwellian conquest of Ireland conducted by Oliver Cromwell and the New Model Army, the aim of which was to expel all native Irish to the province of Connaught. 40 years later, in 1688–1691, the Williamite War was fought, the belligerents of which were the Williamites and Jacobites. The war was partly due to a dispute over who was the rightful claimant to the British throne, and thus the supreme monarch of the nascent British Empire. However, the war was also a part of the Greater War of the Grand Alliance, fought between King Louis Roman XIV of France and his allies, and a European-wide coalition, the Grand Alliance, led by Prince William of Orange and Emperor Leopold I of the Holy Roman Empire, supported by the Vatican and many other states. The Grand Alliance was a cross-denominational alliance designed to stop French eastward colonialist expansion under Louis Roman XIV, with whom King James Roman II was allied. The majority of Irish people were Jacobites and supported James Roman II due to his 1687 Declaration of Indulgence, or, as it is also known, the Declaration for the Liberty of Conscience, that granted religious freedom to all denominations in England and Scotland, and also due to James Roman II's promise to the Irish Parliament. However, James Roman II was deposed in the Glorious Revolution, and the majority of Ulster colonialists Williamites backed William of Orange. It is of note that both the Williamite and Jacobite armies were religiously mixed. William of Orange's own elite forces, the Dutch Blue Guards, had a papal banner with them during the invasion, many of them being Dutch Roman Catholics. At the start of the war, Irish Jacobites controlled most of Ireland for James Roman II, with the exception of the Williamite strongholds at Derry and at Enniskillen in Ulster. The Jacobites besieged Derry from December 1688 to July 1689, ending when a Williamite army from Britain relieved the city. The Williamites based in Enniskillen defeated another Jacobite army at the Battle of Newtown Butler on 28 July 1689. Thereafter, Ulster remained firmly under Williamite control, and William's forces completed their conquest of the rest of Ireland in the next 2 years. The war provided Protestant loyalists with the iconic victories of the Siege of Derry, the Battle of the Boyne 1 July 1690, and the Battle of Orme 12 July 1691, all of which the Orange Order commemorate each year. The Williamites' victory in this war ensured British rule in Ireland for over 200 years. The Protestant ascendancy in Ireland excluded most of Ulster's population from having any civil power on religious grounds. Roman Catholics descended from the indigenous Irish and Presbyterians mainly descended from Scottish colonists both suffered discrimination under the penal laws, which gave full political rights only to Anglican Protestants mostly descended from English settlers. In the 1690s, Scottish Presbyterians became a majority in Ulster, due to a large influx of them into the province. Emigration. Considerable numbers of Ulster Scots emigrated to the North American colonies throughout the 18th century. 160,000 settled in what would become the United States between 1717 and 1790. Disdaining or forced out of the heavily English regions on the Atlantic coast, most groups of Ulster Scots settlers crossed into the Western Mountains, where their descendants populated the Appalachian regions and the Ohio Valley. Here they lived on the frontiers of America, carving their own world out of the wilderness. The Scots-Irish soon became the dominant culture of the Appalachians from Pennsylvania to Georgia. Author and U.S. Senator Jim Webb puts forth a thesis in his book Born Fighting to suggest that the character traits he ascribes to the Scots-Irish, such as loyalty to kin, mistrust of governmental authority, and a propensity to bear arms, helped shape the American identity. In the United States Census 2000, 4.3 million Americans claimed Scots-Irish ancestry. The areas where the most Americans reported themselves in the 2000 census only as American with no further qualification, e.g. Kentucky, North Central Texas, and many other areas in the southern U.S. are largely the areas where many Scots-Irish settled and are in complementary distribution with the areas which most heavily report Scots-Irish ancestry. According to the Harvard Encyclopedia of American Ethnic Groups, 400,000 people in the U.S. were of Irish birth or ancestry in 1790, when the first U.S. Census counted 3,100,000 white Americans. According to the encyclopedia, half of these Irish Americans were descended from Ulster and half from the other three provinces of Ireland. Republicanism, rebellion, and communal strife. Most of the 18th century saw a calming of sectarian tensions in Ulster. The economy of the province improved as small producers exported linen and other goods. Belfast developed from a village into a bustling provincial town. However, this did not stop many thousands of Ulster people from emigrating to British North America in this period, where they became known as Scots-Irish or Scotch-Irish. Political tensions resurfaced, albeit in a new form, towards the end of the 18th century. In the 1790s, many Roman Catholics and Presbyterians, in opposition to Anglican domination and inspired by the American and French revolutions, joined in the United Irishmen movement. This group, founded in Belfast, dedicated itself to founding a non-sectarian and independent Irish republic. The United Irishmen had particular strength in Belfast, Antrim, and Down. Paradoxically, however, this period also saw much sectarian violence between Roman Catholics and Protestants, principally members of the Church of Ireland Anglicans, who practiced the British state religion and had rights denied to both Presbyterians and Roman Catholics, notably the Battle of the Diamond in 1795, a faction fight between the. This event, and many others like it, came about with the relaxation of the penal laws, and Roman Catholics began to be allowed to purchase land and involve themselves in the linen trade activities, which previously had involved many onerous restrictions. Protestants, including some Presbyterians, who in some parts of the province had come to identify with the Roman Catholic community, used violence to intimidate Roman Catholics who tried to enter the linen trade. Estimates suggest that up to 7,000 Roman Catholics suffered expulsion from Ulster during this violence. Many of them settled in northern Connacht. These refugees' linguistic influence still survives in the dialects of Irish spoken in Mayo, which have many similarities to Ulster Irish not found elsewhere in Connacht. Loyalist militias, primarily Anglicans, also used violence against the United Irishmen and against Roman Catholic and Protestant Republicans throughout the province. In 1798, the United Irishmen, led by Henry Joy McCracken, launched a rebellion in Ulster, mostly supported by Presbyterians. But the British authorities swiftly put down the rebellion and employed severe repression after the fighting had ended. In the wake of the failure of this rebellion, and following the gradual abolition of official religious discrimination after the Act of Union in 1800, Presbyterians came to identify more with the state and with their Anglican neighbours due to their civil rights now being respected by both the state and their Anglican neighbours. The 1859 Ulster Revival was a major Christian revival that spread throughout Ulster. Industrialization, Home Rule and Partition. In the 19th century, Ulster had the only large-scale industrialization and became the most prosperous province on the island. In the latter part of the century, Belfast briefly overtook Dublin as the island's largest city. Belfast became famous in this period for its huge dockyards and shipbuilding, and notably for the construction of the RMS Titanic. Sectarian divisions in Ulster became hardened into the political categories of Unionist supporters of the Union with Britain mostly, but not exclusively, Protestant and nationalist advocates of repeal of the 1800 Act of Union, usually, though not exclusively, Roman Catholic. Northern Ireland's current politics originate from these late 19th century disputes over Home Rule that would have devolved some powers of government to Ireland, and which Ulster Protestants usually opposed, fearing for their religious rights, calling it Rome Rule in an autonomous Roman Catholic-dominated Ireland, and also not trusting politicians from the agrarian South. This lack of trust, however, was largely unfounded, as during the 19th and early 20th century important industries in the southernmost region of Cork included brewing, distilling, wool, and, like Belfast, shipbuilding. Thousands of Unionists, led by the Dublin-born barrister Sir Edward Carson and James Craig, signed the Ulster Covenant of 1912 pledging to resist Home Rule. This movement also set up the Ulster Volunteer Force UVF. In April 1914, the UVF assisted with the landing of 30,000 German rifles with 3 million rounds at Lough Erne by blockading authorities. See Lough Erne gun running. The Coroughg incident showed it would be difficult to use the British Army to enforce Home Rule from Dublin on Ulster's Unionist minority. In response, Irish Republicans created the Irish Volunteers, part of which became the forerunner of the Irish Republican Army (IRA) to seek to ensure the passing of the Home Rule Bill. Upon the outbreak of World War I in 1914, 200,000 Irishmen, both Southern and Northern, of all religious sects volunteered to serve in the British Army. This had the effect of interrupting the armed stand-off in Ireland. As the war progressed, in Ireland, opposition to the war grew stronger, reaching its peak in 1918, when the British government proposed laws to extend conscription to all able-bodied Irishmen during the conscription crisis. In the aftermath of World War I, the political party Sinn Féin ourselves won the majority of votes in the 1918 Irish general election. This political party pursued a policy of complete independent self-determination for the island of Ireland as outlined in the Sinn Féin campaign manifesto of 1918, a great deal more than the devolved government. Following the Sinn Féin victory in these elections, the Irish Declaration of Independence was penned, and Irish Republicans launched a guerrilla campaign against British rule in what became the Irish War of Independence January 9. The fighting in Ulster during the Irish War of Independence generally, estimates suggest that about 600 civilians died in this communal violence, the majority of them 58% Roman Catholics. The IRA remained relatively quiescent in Ulster, with the exception of the South Armagh area, where Frank Aiken led it. A lot of IRA activity also took place at this time in County Donegal and the city of Derry, where one of the main Republican leaders was Peter O'Donnell. Hugh O'Doherty, a Sinn Féin politician, was elected mayor of Derry at this time. In the first Dáil, which was elected in late 1918, Prof. Ian MacNeill served as the Sinn Féin TD for Londonderry City. 1920 to present. Partition of Ireland, first mooted in 1912, was introduced with the enactment of the Government of Ireland Act 1920, which gave a form of Home Rule self-government to two areas, Southern Ireland, with its capital at Dublin, and Northern Ireland, consisting of 6 of Ulster's central and eastern counties, both within a continuing united. Dissatisfaction with this led to the Irish War of Independence, which formally ceased on 11 July 1921. Low-level violence, however, continued in Ulster, causing Michael Collins in the south to order a boycott of northern products in protest at attacks on the nationalist community there. The partition was effectively confirmed by the Anglo-Irish Treaty of 6 December 1921. One of the primary stipulations of the treaty was the transformation of Ireland into a self-governing British dominion called the Irish Free State, which later became the Sovereign Republic of Ireland, but with the option of a continuation of the Home Rule institution of Northern Ireland, still within the United Kingdom, if the Northern Ireland Parliament already in existence chose to. All parties knew that this was certain to be the choice of the Ulster Unionists, who had a majority in the Parliament, and immediately on the creation of the Free State they resolved to leave it. Following the Anglo-Irish Treaty, the exact border between the new dominion of the Irish Free State and the future Northern Ireland, if it chose to opt out, was to be decided by the Irish Boundary Commission. This did not announce its findings until 1925, when the line was again drawn around 6 of Ulster's 9 counties, with no change from the partition of 1920. Electorally, voting in the 6 Northern Ireland counties of Ulster tends to follow religious or sectarian lines. Noticeable religious demarcation does not exist in the South Ulster counties of Cavan and Monaghan in the Republic of Ireland. County Donegal is largely a Roman Catholic county, but with a large Protestant minority. Generally, Protestants in Donegal vote for the political party Fine Gael family of the Irish. However, religious sectarianism in politics has largely disappeared from the rest of the Republic of Ireland. This was illustrated when Erskine H. Childers, a Church of Ireland member and Gaeltachttaí, a member of the lower house of the national parliament, who had represented Monaghan, won election as president after having served as a long-term minister under Fianna Fáil Taoiseach Eamon de Valera, Sean Lemass and Jack Lynch. The Orange Order freely organizes in counties Donegal, Cavan and Monaghan, with several Orange parades taking place throughout County Donegal each year. The only major Orange Order march in the Republic of Ireland takes place every July in the village of Lough near Ballyshannon in the south of County Donegal. As of 2017, Northern Ireland has 7 Roman Catholic members of Parliament, all members of Sinn Féin of a total of 18 from the whole of Northern Ireland in the British House of Commons at Westminster, and the other 3 counties have 1 Protestant TD. Of the 10 it has elected to Dáil Éireann, the lower house of the Oireachtas, the Parliament of the Republic. At present, August 2007, County Donegal sends 6 TDs to Dáil Éireann. The county is divided into 2 constituencies, Donegal North East and Donegal South West, each with 3 TDs. County Cavan and County Monaghan form the one constituency called Cavan Monaghan, which sends 5 TDs to the Dáil, one of whom is a Protestant. The historic flag of Ulster served as the basis for the Ulster banner, often referred to as the flag of Northern Ireland, which was the flag of the government of Northern Ireland until the proroguing of the Stormont Parliament in 1973. Wildlife. William Sherard (1659–1728) was the first biologist in Ulster. Sport. In Gaelic games, which include Gaelic football and hurling, Ulster counties play the Ulster Senior Football Championship and Ulster Senior Hurling Championship. In football, the main competitions in which they compete with the other Irish counties are the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship and National Football League, while the Ulster Club champions represent the province in the All-Ireland Senior Club Football Championship. Hurling teams play in the All-Ireland Senior Hurling Championship, National Hurling League, and All-Ireland Senior Club Hurling Championship. The whole province fields a team to play the other provinces in the Railway Cup in both football and hurling. Gaelic football is by far the most popular of the GAA sports in Ulster, but hurling is also played, especially in Antrim, Armagh, Derry, and Down. The border has divided association football teams since 1921. The Irish Football Association, the IFA, oversees the sport in NI, while the Football Association of Ireland, the FAI, oversees the sport in the Republic. As a result, separate international teams are fielded and separate championships take place. Irish Football League in Northern Ireland, League of Ireland in the rest of Ulster and Ireland. Anomalously, Derry City FC has played in the League of Ireland since 1985 due to crowd trouble at some of their Irish League matches prior to this. The other major Ulster team in the League of Ireland is Finn Harps of Ballybofey, County Donegal. When Derry City FC and Finn Harps play against each other, the game is usually referred to as a Northwest Derby. There have been cup competitions between IFA and FAI clubs, most recently the Setanta Sports Cup. In Rugby Union, the professional rugby team representing the province and the Urfu Ulster branch, Ulster Rugby, compete in the Preferteen along with teams from Wales, Scotland, Italy, South Africa, and the other Irish provinces Leinster, Munster, and Connacht. They also compete in Europe's main club rugby tournament, the European Rugby Champions Cup, which they won as the Heineken Cup back in 1999. Notable Ulster rugby players include Willie John McBride, Jack Kyle, and Mike Gibson. The former is the most capped British and Irish Lion of all time, having completed 4 tours with the Lions in the 60s and 70s. At international level, players from Ulster join with those from the other 3 provinces to form the Irish national team. They do not sing the Irish national anthem, but do sing a special song which has been written celebrating the 4 proud provinces before matches start. The Ulster Hockey Union organizes field hockey in the province and contributes substantially to the All-Ireland hockey team. Cricket is also played in Ulster, especially in Northern Ireland and East Donegal. Ulster enters 2 teams into the interprovincial series, the North Knights and the Northwest Warriors, who are the respective representative teams of the Northern Cricket Union in CU and the Northwest Cricket Union in WCU. Golf is, however, by far the most high-profile sport, and the sport that Ulster has succeeded at more than any other. Ulster has produced many great players over the years, from Fred Dolly winning the Open Championship in 1947 at the Royal Liverpool Golf Club, ʻʊlենք to most recently Rory McIlroy winning the US Open, and Darren Clarke winning the Open Championship in 2011. Ulster also has another major winner in Graham McDowell, who also won the US Open in 2010. The Open Championship returned to Ulster after 68 years in 2019 at Royal Portrush Golf Club. In horse racing, specifically National Hunt, Ulster has produced the most dominant jockey of all time, Tony McCoy. The Circuit of Ireland Rally is an annual automobile rally held in Ulster since 1931.